Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki, and this morning I'll be reviewing the front pages of the dailies and also analyzing. Then I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with Tinubu, Wike rise against insecurity via renewed action. Meet service chiefs vows to secure every inch of Nigeria. Says he inherited many asset liabilities from Buhari. Inspector General of Police meets task force, tactical squad commanders. Others are DIG operations to coordinate accelerated upscaled operations. Wike summons emergency security meeting, reads riot out to council bosses. Kaduna to get more military operation bases. Ubasani lament resurgence of attacks on Kaduna-Abuja highway, summons monarchs. Director states to set up a local police. Afenifere tells federal government, says failure to use BVN, NIN to track perpetrators' indictment on security agents. You can see that story on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And there's a picture showing the former Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, author and former SA media to former President Femi Adesina, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former President Muhammadu Buhari, his wife Aisha, former head of state General Yakubu Gowon and General Ibrahim Haruna during the public presentation of a book titled Working with Buhari by Femi Adesina, held at Transcorp Youth in Abuja yesterday. You can see that inside Vanguard newspaper. Now on page 8, buildings destroyed as explosion rocks part of Ibadan. Federal government building fiscal resilience to reduce foreign borrowing. That's according to Finance Minister. You can see that on page 20. On page 4, palliatives funds. There's plot to link Gbaja. That's according to a source. And APC says Supreme Court judgment don't throw Nasarawa into crisis. You can see that on page 12. And on page 22, Afe Babalola says that the immune executive also has no right to waive the immunity. This is because the immunity is not to the person holding the office, but to the office he or she represents. On the page 31, sports, AFCON 2023. Nigerians should keep supporting us, Trust Ekong begs. Stories above the banner on page 2. I prepared myself for probe. That's according to Buhari. 83 illegal refineries uncovered in 1 week. NNPC should have privatized the refineries before rehabilitation. That's coming for former Vice President Atiku. You can see that on page 2. And lastly, on Vanguard newspaper, the investment Shell reaches deal to sell onshore oil fields for $2.4 billion. You can see that on page 19 of Vanguard newspaper. Now the Punch. Punch is leading with abduction epidemic. Anti-kidnapping protest holds in Abuja today as 10 suspects arrested. Tinubu vows crackdown on kidnappers. Agents of darkness, abductors kill hotel barman. Federal government saves 8 trillion naira from subsidy remover. FX reform, that's according to Tinubu panel. Refinery, Dangote investors gain 1.2 trillion naira. Naira plunges to 1,300 per dollar at parallel market. You can see these stories on pages 20 of Vanguard, of pages 20 and 2 of the Punch newspaper. Now the Guardian. Guardian is leading with federal government options for conditional divestment as oil majors trade $4.5 billion asset. You can see that on page 6. On page 4, endless hurdles for Free Trade Zone Act 32 years after. News analysis page 4. On news page 3, U.S. court to repatriate over 5 billion naira stolen assets to Nigeria. Federal government order on border closures still in force, says customs. Inflation, currency depreciation undermining Nigeria's economic outlook. You can see that on business page 16. Political class security chiefs promise action on killings, abduction epidemic. That can be seen on news page 6 and on editorial page 12 to check absconding teachers and salvage education sector. Wike summons emergency security meeting over kidnapping. On news page 7, state police restructuring security agency panacea to killings and others. You can see that on page 7. And lastly, there's a picture showing the damaged buildings due to the Ibadan explosion. You can see that on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Joining us to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Gbenro Olajigbe. He's the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Good morning, Mr. Gbenro.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being with you.
Right, let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies. And disturbed by the rising wave of insecurity in the country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said yesterday that he would not rest until all vestiges of darkness, such as Boko Haram terrorists, Ansari militants, bandits, and the kidnapping gangs, were stamped out. What do you think about what the president is saying, considering the recent kidnappings and killings in Abuja?
Well, it's not longer about what the president is saying, but rather about what the president is doing. Because you have a lot of people now who have been kidnapped, particularly in Abuja in the last 1 month. You have over 20 people in the dens of kidnapper from various areas, Buhari areas, from Duse, other areas in Abuja. We have been reported in terms of escalation in the rate of kidnapping in FCT. And this is not to even talk about other places. I saw a gory video of kidnap in Akoko Edo area of Edo State early this morning, of people that are being tortured by their kidnappers. So it's virtually across the country, and it has become a very disgusting epidemic. So it's not a question of what the president is saying. It's about what the president is doing. But the fact of it is that even when this kidnapping is going on, you can see the escalation, the surge, the spike in the quantum of kidnapping that is going on across the country. But the question that we should ask, our reflection we should embark on now, is that why the spike? Why the escalation? Because at the time of transition from Buhari to Tinubu, the things seem to have gone down a bit. But suddenly there is escalation now. Well, without being modest about it, it can be linked to one, the excruciating economy. You are building a society of mindless and cruel people when they cannot afford basic necessity of life. And aside from that, from the economy, in addition to what is going on in terms of inability of people to access basic needs, you keep on destroying properties of people, particularly the poor people. You categorize this as shanty. For example, yesterday along the airport road, to accommodate what they call the presidential fleet, almost a whole village, they were destroyed. What do you think those people will resort to? They resort to crime, and when they embark on crime, they become so heartless. Because where in any society where you have heartless governance, there will be heartless criminals. So the chain is a chain of reaction. We should begin to look at the way we just do things. You can't have a beautiful people with extremely poor people. You must accept that. Upgrade the lives of the people. Take them out of poverty before you attack their neighborhood, before you destroy their neighborhood, before you send them into a level they will begin to they will not be able to place premium on their own life and the life of other people, and they become ruthless even when they want to commit crime. So we should take everything together. What type of governance are we embarking on in Nigeria? You can't build a society for the rich alone. You have created poverty by the choice of your policies. You can no longer now begin to kill the poor or exterminating their them by removing their properties, under the guise of building a nation, a sane city. So you have to look at all this holistically. It's not about people are going, why are they going? Why the spike now? Ask the question and answer it. Is it because of the economic policy that you are bringing out? If it is that, what can quickly be done? Is it because of the so-called urban remodeling that is going on around Abuja that is driving people? You have driven them out of access to basic necessity. You are driving them out of their home again. Then what hope is left for the ordinary Nigerians? In the street, they can't sell. They can't park anywhere if they are drivers. Of course, they are not even making profit, even as drivers again. They are not making, ordinary Nigerians are just suffering. And some of them have gone back to crime, very heartless crime. So this brings us to the phrase that the state prepare crime that people commit. We should holistically look at this. There is threat to life across Nigeria, and particularly in FCT now. FCT is gradually becoming headquarters of kidnapping. And I've said it, and I said it that if it is no longer possible for President Tinubu to sack Wike as FCT minister, he should create a federal ministry of Port Harcourt or Rivers for him to go and stay there. Because it's more concerned about what is going on in Rivers than his official duty in Abuja. The insecurity is unacceptable. The fear, intrusion of fear is everywhere in the federal capital now. You go, kidnappers are going to people's home to pick them and their children. A 13-year-old boy, among the siblings of the kidnapped one, he was killed about 2 days ago from Maria's family. The wife is kidnapped, the 4 children are kidnapped, and the kidnapper has killed one of them. And the father is busy looking for 60 million naira, a civil servant. So what type of nation are we? What a country are we living in? That you can't sleep, you can't walk, the economy is biting, the social atmosphere is charged with extreme crime, extreme violence. And we are talking of crime that come with reckless cruelty. Cruelty that is that cannot be imagined, that can only happen in animal kingdom. That is what is going on in Nigeria. Killings everywhere, abduction, kidnapping. One chance, they have taken over Abuja. And it is now, you can't wait for, nobody is interested in what the president is saying. We are interested in what the government, the president, the FCT ministers and governors elsewhere, what they are doing. What they are doing. Before you embark on what you call urban renewal, you have to look at the economic situations of people so that you don't drive other people into crime again.
Their report, some repentant Boko Haram members have been absorbed into Nigerian military.
Why should you reward criminal? And we're not talking of ordinary criminal. And that is the society we are building. That is what I'm talking about. You are turning everything to criminal enterprise. A criminal perform unleash extreme violence of society. You reward them under the tag of repentance. Repentance from who? From what? Do they know how they were socialized into extreme crime? How they were indoctrinated? How they were radicalized? Reintegration is not an option when you have not de-radicalized. We have said this several times. What do you even make of that society when you reward criminal? You are doing injustice to a level to many peace-loving, law-abiding citizens when you reward criminals. And that you get, every nation get the type of society they want. Every people get the type of society they want. When we don't think deep before we take particular policy decision, particular practice decision, you get a society that become anarchical for everybody and become unlivable for most people. And that is the situation in Nigeria of today. Nigeria has become unlivable. there's palpable fear across the federation. You are not safe. To the extent, look at the coppers. 170 days, 5 out of 7 coppers kidnapped in Zamfara, coming from Akwa Ibom State, are still there up till now. What do we make of this nation? And you have a president clapping for Buhari at book launch yesterday. Buhari has done well. What has he done? It was a very essential disaster that Nigeria faced for 8 years. There's no disaster worse than Buhari in the last 8 years. And we should begin to tell ourselves the truth. And the President Tinubu, should not tread that path. Shouldn't tread that path.
Mr. Gbaja,
he should take governance serious. Governance is not about economy alone. And economy for whom? Economy that is not built for people cannot deliver peace. Economy that is only those who are in government benefits from cannot bring peace. Because what it can do is to further widen the gap between the rich and the poor, which is inequality, a cardinal cause of the type of crime we are seeing in Nigeria today.
Mr. Gbaja, now that banditry have extended to Abuja, Enugu, Ekiti, Katsina, Zamfara, even Kebbi State, should they adopt, state police or the security outfit? Because there was a time killer herdsmen attacked those states, but when they adopted Moteko, that reduced drastically. So, do you think the security outfit will also help other regions?
Yes, I agree to that, but much more than that, we should understand the problem. It's not about killing criminal alone. How do you prevent people from becoming criminals? If they can't, as long as you make living difficult, people will go into crime. That is a definitum. As long as you make life miserable for people, unlivable people, into crime. One of the socioeconomic causes of crime is a critical area in criminology. When you do criminology, why people become criminals? Socioeconomic consequences of our action, of our policy, is a critical aspect we need to look at. And secondly, look at the number of crime, and there is no desirable intention in the mind of Nigerian leader to bring out a very robust blueprint that will support this young population, young, virile and mobile population of Nigeria today. So it's not about state police. State police is good. After all, Tinubu has been canvassing for this for ages. He gets his turn now. We are still asking, why are we not having state police? Why is the country not restructured? Look at the number, and another annoying thing, look at the gravity of crime that is going on within his government. In times of, in fact, Tinubu should not even entertain corruption, because we all have our notion of him in terms of fighting corruption. We never, particularly me, I've never seen Tinubu as somebody that can fight corruption. But this is the time for him now to disappoint people like me, who don't believe that he's capable of fighting corruption, by rejecting with the last part of his blood any attempt to ensure that corruption survive in Nigeria again during his administration. And he should start with his cabinet. It's becoming clear now that his cabinet is just a nest of corrupt people. He should deal with them without sparing anybody, no matter how close that person is to Tinubu. Whether it is the person is called the chief of staff, chief of wherever chief or minister, Tinubu should not spare the person in the fight against corruption. Because we have a nation to live in, and he has a nation to hand over to those that are coming behind. Because it's getting to a level now when we can conveniently state that the state is the one creating the crime that people are committing.
Still talking about corruption, memos have continued to leak from the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry and its agency following the suspension of Beta Edu. Now, there was an allegation that the office of the chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbaja, approved a 3 billion naira for verification of the National Social Register. Now, they're saying that it's an indication.
If 3 million is needed to do the job, what is the what are the experiences of the people they gave the job to? Have they worked in the humanitarian sector before? Do they know the meaning of humanitarian? How to be humanitarian? Did they know the meaning of poverty? Have they engaged with poverty and poverty management before? Have they done their job? Look, if you want to do this thing in a very clean way, you don't ask Gbajabiamila or humanitarian minister to go and be awarding contract for cleaning up a register. This register, you can constitute a team of people from Nigeria Bureau, National Bureau of Statistics, a team of people that have worked in humanitarian sector and development sector before, a team of people that have worked with money transfer within the NGO system. Is a specialization. You have experts that have done that before. A team, and don't give it to very shady politicians parading themselves as experts, using phony companies and business names to draw contracts from government. So there are a lot of things. You build a system, and there are people you select to build that system from different sectors that can relate to the whole lessons of responding to humanitarian concern. And you have to draw your humanitarian map and the landscape you want to address. And while you are doing that, and I've suggested that before, now assuming that you don't have register now, at least university and NYSC have register of students. Why don't you start your intervention with these young people that are virile, that are mobile, that are educated, but are extremely unemployed? Why don't you concentrate on them and then use technical people that understand all these things, how you can conduct humanitarian businesses, how you can conduct that, to do that, rather than hand over 3 billion naira to a people that know next to nothing about it, and then you come and we are paying for this. Don't forget that we are borrowing this money. Most of this money, they are from borrowed money that we spend anyhow, as if people who have who lack expertise and who have no brain. And you have some people gather themselves, sit down and plan how to embezzle this, thinking they are rendering service to government. It's unacceptable. The president should know this and should begin to think out of box. You don't. I saw I saw the committee set up, headed by Cardoso, the governor of Central Bank. That committee is incurably defective because he has infused a lot of politicians, those who have vested interest, the same kind of people. When you do humanitarian concerns and everything, you go out of government to look for experts, not people who are in government using phony to attract and collect contract from government in order to further the decimation of our economy. And these are sort of people that make people to refer to Nigeria as a very huge crime scene. President should not spare them at that humanitarian. To me, humanitarian ministry is not necessary. It's not necessary.
So you think it should be scrapped?
If you cannot resist the activities to policy making, it's unnecessary.
Do you think the ministry, Mr. Boy, do you think the ministry should be scrapped?
Services like NEMA, like National Commission for IDPs, I have no apology for that. The ministry should be scrapped. It has outlived its usefulness. Whenever an entity has betrayed the purposes and objectives for which it is created, it is no longer a subject of debate before you end the existence of such entity. when you have of humanitarian, even if you reform and you still call it Ministry of Humanitarian, people have their notion already. And this we have set them for a very long time. It doesn't need reform. What needs reform is what manner of intervention that is befitting of those that are poor in Nigeria, of those that are wretched in Nigeria, and we should look at it exclusively, and we should map all contributing ministries and agencies. For example, when you are talking of removing poverty, you are looking at Ministry of Education is contributing in a way when people are educated, but when they contribute in educating people and they can't find job and government does not care, and because of harsh economic reality and cost of production, the companies are shutting down. Where are those people educated going to work? Those should be, that's why I'm saying that what we are looking at should be holistically viewed and not within the parochial microscope of looking at it as we are doing humanitarian service. You don't even do humanitarian service, like you have said, can never alleviate poverty. It's not like poverty is a development concern and not humanitarian issue.
Mr. Gbaja, our time is going. Let's quickly talk about this one. Residents in various parts of Ibadan, the capital city of Oyo State, were terrified yesterday as a deafening sound, which appeared to be a massive explosion, shook part of the city. And the governor of Oyo State said the explosion was as a result of illegal miners occupying one of the buildings in the Bodija area of the state capital. And what's your take on this?
Well, it's very unfortunate and life has been lost. And the governor, according to governor, officially 2 people were killed and 77 people got injured. But my concern is the governor coming up to quickly say that they were illegal miners. What that does, coming out to say that, what it does is that it destroys the capacity of security agency to look for motivation for such crime. To me, it's crime. It's crime, whether it's illegal or not. But then, let us not rush into that conclusion when life are lost. There must be thorough investigation. Why should you call them illegal miner? Have you known them or engaged them before? Is that their motivation? Is mining their motivation? Or where they store the thing? I think police, bomb and what do they call them? Those who anti-bomb squad and other people should investigate the matter, then get to the root of it, why the thing exploded, how long have they been storing the thing in a very area where people dwell in Bodija. And at the same time, we should now begin to look at the motivation for crime. Are they truly stored in order to mine, or they were stored in order to perform carry out other crime relating to terrorism or something alike? So we should look at, when a crime happens, we are looking at 1, who is the criminal? You have the criminal. 2, you look at motivation for crime. Motivation for that crime that happened, like that explosion, was it deliberate or not deliberate? Or was it meant to create panic? How did it happen? All those things should be brought on board before we reach a conclusion. But those people, irrespective of them, should be tried and punished if found guilty.
All right.
And not only try and punish, they should be made to pay compensation to those that were injured and those that were killed. And the state too should take this up strictly. Any company involved should pay compensation. People can't lose their life and you say their family should take heart. Or they get injured and you say they should move on with their life. Which life? So that is, we should build a society of law and order.
Okay, Mr. Gbaja, let's end this on a lighter note. I want you to quickly talk on this. What do you think about the slogan, "No grief for anybody"?
Well, if for bad thing, no grief for anybody, that one stands sure. But for good thing, you must grieve for somebody. For better ideas, you must grieve for somebody. But for corruption, no grief for anybody. For what will destroy and hamper people's progress, no grief for anybody. For what will contribute to the progress of individual and that of nation, we must grieve for everybody. Because at the end of the day, the beauty of society, the beauty of living, and the beauty of peace building is that we come together to agree. From points of our divergence, we should always come together so that we agree. We can see things differently, but never hold to your own opinion forever, especially where there is superior knowledge. The fact of it is that a man or a woman that cannot change his mind cannot change anything in life. So let us work together in harmony, in peace. So if there is a point of divergence where we no go agree for anybody, and there is a point of convergence where we go agree for each other or one another, so as to create a beautiful society.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gbero. Let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. And the first person speaking this morning is Mrs. Mrs. says, you made us a laughing stock at the party yesterday. Mr. says, that's why I don't attend foreign parties. The waiter asked if I would like a Mediterranean cuisine, and I said I would prefer the one from River Niger. So what's my sin?
Yeah, Mr. has not committed sin, irrespective of our error. Mrs. should see the comedian in the Mr. and not that he committed this thing. So we shouldn't take ourselves too serious. Tell the husband to build up much so that he become a better comedian and not see it as something that is actually wrong. So we even out of, and that is my concern for us, that we don't actually make joke out of our distance. Look, out of our error, we can build something that matters. Let us convert our error to great and wonderful initiatives. So let us not see what is wrong in ourselves all the time, especially if it is not fatally wrong. There are situations that are fatally wrong within family, unacceptable to anybody, indecent behavior in public and everything. But if it's something like this, making mistake with cuisine and everything, I beg, convert it to our own advantage. Mr. is a good comedian. So
Thank you,
Mrs. should see that and build him up. She could even become his manager. So let them profit from their error.
Thank you, Mr. Gbero, for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure always being with you.
Yes, do want to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen, and follow us on our website www.vanguardhr.com to get more of our top stories. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Have a